Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to a Division 2 video. Today we're going over my updated Pestilence build with the new season, with the new gear. There are some changes that you can apply to get your Pestilence doing even more damage. And no, don't worry, it's not with glass cannon. There's still some survivability on this build, and of course we can shred through so many enemies. And because we're using the Pestilence, we can hit up to that 1.7, close to 1.8 million a tick without any of the global events or the season active. With the season active, of course, we can gain that extra 30% weapon damage and the ticks, and of course the Pestilence itself will do a lot more damage, getting close to those 2 millions. Everything that I showcase today is without any of the events active, so you can only hit harder even if you go into glass cannon. But without further ado, let's dive into the new and improved Pestilence build. Starting with my specialization, we are utilizing the gunner specialization. Why? That third reload comes in clutch with that 50% faster, and of course we're doing it for the 10% armor on kill. What will activate whenever the Pestilence tick takes somebody out as well. Then of course we're utilizing the Pestilence. The Pestilence on this setup has a 140,000 total damage. An RPM of 978, yes, our RPM went up. Mag of 100, headshot damage of 85%, and an optimal range of 35. We have an expertise of level 30 on there, maxed out an extra 30% weapon damage, and of course you're gonna go for the attribute critical hit chance. It's all about the talent, the Plague of the Outcasts. Hits apply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This stacks up 50 times. Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, 100% of the stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. And those 25 meters definitely come in clutch, jumping over pretty far to all of our enemies. For your secondary and or your pistol, doesn't really matter what you use. I would recommend you to look at stuff that you don't have proficient yet. Put them on your secondary, put them on your pistol. Or of course, if you have the new named pistol, the quick step, go for the quick step. Why? Because this comes with the new sports mode talent plus 20% movement speed. This bonus does not stack with other movement speeds. You need to hold this pistol in your hand to utilize that 20% movement speed. So whenever you took out a group, for example in retaliation, you're gonna just switch over to your pistol and you're 20% faster. If you don't have this gun or if you don't want to utilize this gun, make sure to put something there that you don't have proficient yet that will save you a lot of duplicates and or materials. And then of course, let's jump over to the whole overview of the build, and this is it. We're utilizing 3 pieces of Langmo. Why are we utilizing 3 pieces of Langmo? Because of course that third piece will give us that 30% LMG damage, and that's what it's all about. The LMG damage is the damage that will transfer over to our Pestilence to make sure that our ticks go up to that 1.7, 1.8 million. We're not really doing it for the explosive resistance, we're not really doing it for the skill health, and of course you want to find this with critical hit chance and critical hit damage on there, or critical hit chance and for example weapon handling to get a little bit more quality of life within the build. I went for crit chance, crit damage, and then a crit chance mod on there. And why am I saying this? Because the core attribute of Langmo will always be blue. So you have to find it with the attributes that you want to have on your build, and then roll the core attribute away for that weapon damage. You need to do that with all of the pieces of Langmo, so it's the same thing for, of course, our holster, crit chance, crit damage on there. So I rolled weapon damage, and then of course we have our backpack, and this will be the named backpack, the backbone. This again, you have to find with the right rolls. I have crit chance, crit damage on there, crit damage mod, roll the weapon damage, and this comes with perfectly unstoppable force. Killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 7% for 15 seconds and stacks up 5 times. And grenade kills add 2 stacks. The grenade kills not really utilizing, I'm gonna be very honest with you, it's all about just that unstoppable force and not having to utilize vigilance, what will deactivate when you get hit. Yes, you need to stack the talent up to that 35% extra weapon damage after, of course, 5 kills. But whenever you take someone out, when the talent is still active, it will of course refresh. Throughout you blasting everyone down with that pestilence, and the ticks of the pestilence keep jumping over, it's very, very easy to keep this talent alive. And then for the gloves, we're utilizing the Overdog gloves. These come with crit chance and crit damage, and that weapon damage as well. Just optimize it till the max. If you do not have these gloves, these are connected with an exotic blueprint to the retaliation mode. As this was one of the last season exotic rewards on the track, this is now added to the blueprint loot pool within retaliation. Pretty easy to hunt that down if you don't have it yet. This is a guaranteed way to get the Overdog gloves. But let's get back to the Overdogs itself. The talent, why is this so good? It is because it gives us a 30% amplification damage to the lowest ranking enemies currently in combat as per tier hierarchy. And this is a lot more active than we expected, and that 30% extra amplification damage is just one of the best, all not the best choice for most DPS builds. We tried out a bunch of different combinations, but the Overdog gloves at 30% amp jumping in gives you that opportunity to get close to that 1.8 million on the ticks, and it kicks in a lot more than you think. Then jumping over to my knee pads, of course we're going for the Fox sprayers. Why? Damage your target out of cover. We rolled critical hit damage on there. And then the last piece, of course, the newest addition to this season as well. It's going to be the Eagleizer unit alloys. This is the new brand set that will give us that extra 5% rate of fire. That's why you saw a little bit higher fire rate on my pestilence itself. This we found with critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and weapon damage on there. We just optimized everything, and then we went for a critical hit damage mod, and there it is. Perfect. Obliterate is added to the game. Critical hits increase the total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds and stacks up 24 times. This will be 4 times more than the normal Obliterate, but after calculations, if you want to shoot with Obliterate, it's almost always the better choice to go for the Eagleizer, to go for that perfect Obliterate. And this is the biggest change that we added. We lost a little bit of survivability versus the last build, but there is so much more damage output, or better said, so much more regular damage output. Where the last build hit up to that 1.7 million while the season was active, this can hit up to 1.7 million without, and we only lost 10% armor on kill versus the last one. This still gives you that little survivability with the 10% armor on kill from Gunner, but in my humble opinion, it's more than enough, as your ticks and you shooting people will count towards that armor on kill. And then for my skills, I am utilizing the Revive Hive, still giving you that extra little life. And then I personally like to foam them down and just shred through them. Of course, because we're utilizing the Gunner specialization, you can also go for the Banshee pulse or whatever you like to go within your skills. Again, just like my skills, the whole setup of the build is just a template. This is how I personally like to play. So copy the build, but always change it a little bit towards how you like to play, what your playstyle is. If you, for example, don't have the gloves, you can switch that around, and then I would prefer you to go for the Coyote Mask and then change this glove around for, of course, for another piece of Langmo. until the moment you unlock it throughout the Retaliation game mode. This is definitely the way to go. Overdogs will give you a shit ton of damage. Then let's jump over to the stats real quick. We're hitting that 55.5% critical hit chance and 141% critical hit damage. We are of course getting that 10% extra armor on kill. And we have that little extra 5% rate of fire that will help you build up those stacks of the Pestilence faster. And that's pretty much it. My new and updated LMG build, my new and updated Pestilence build. It is a lot of fun to play with, and I would recommend you to try it out with the season. Then of course deactivate your companion, and that will double your passive bonuses, giving you that extra 30% weapon damage, 40% hazard protection, and 30% skill efficiency. And then we're doing it for the 30% extra weapon damage, because that jumps over to your Pestilence ticks as well, and you can hit even higher ticks. But this is of course my setup. Let me know in the comments down below how you would change it towards your own playstyle, or are you straight up copying this build already? Let me know in the comments down below. I will love to hear your opinion, but that's it for me. Thank you very much for sticking until the end. Like the video if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And of course, if you're new here and or you want to be updated by the Division 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you in the next one. Pure Prime out.